When I mentioned something that I think Zion has in common with Tim Duncan in the Open, what I mean by that is we went back and looked over all of the guys who were taken #1 overall. The last guy who walked into a situation that feels this good was Tim Duncan. That's 22 years ago. Usually the #1 pick goes to a terrible team, a bad situation, and they expect him to sort of lift everything up. Zion, for as big a star as he is, Jalen, can be a piece of the puzzle on a good team in New Orleans.
And you got to thank the Lakers for that, because remember, they took Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball in the lottery. Okay, so you hope that both of those guys continue to project. You have Zion, you want him to be your anchor. If he plays the way he's capable of playing, you already have Drew Holiday that's shown that he's a veteran starting guard in this game. I really like what they did with their team, and re-signing Alvin Gentry. That keeps getting overlooked in this dynamic. I think his ability to have his teams play fast and be productive offensively is going to unlock all of their games.
David Griffin came back like Jordan wearing 4-5 here. I mean, that's what he really did. It's really incredible. And
it's the first time anyone's ever compared David Griffin to Michael Jordan.
But the stress relief, though, too. Think about it. The stress that those young guys would have playing with LeBron, the stress that the young guys would have playing with AD. And I give this equation, right? It's like if you're 35 and you're dating a girl who's 29, and she's like, I want to get married, I want to get married. You feel that pressure, right? You're going to all these weddings. I don't know if I want to get married. That's the kind of stress that you would play with those guys. All of a sudden, where next time you're like, hey, you meet somebody, she's 29, like, I don't really care about getting married. Next thing you know, a year later, you're like, I'm married with a family? There's no stress. And I think that sometimes is the best environment. You know what I mean? It's the best environment in order for these guys to thrive in, because there are no expectations.
Glad we could be therapy for you.
Yes, there you go.
So there's an old NBA adage that in the league that 4 quarters don't make a dollar, which means that if you take a star player and you trade him for pieces and parts, it doesn't make up for that star player. In this case, it's almost like 10 dimes doesn't make a dollar because of everything that they've got. This trade is so complex that David Griffin actually acquired a draft pick last night that he traded when he was the GM in Cleveland, that went to Atlanta that he got. The most important thing out of all this is that Zion Williamson becomes a star. If he becomes a star player and is the replacement for Anthony Davis, the Pelicans are completely set up to not only support him, but also make deals and improve the team and draft people.
Yeah,
Woj
just said, Jalen, that he thinks the Pelicans are a playoff team this year. Do you believe they're a playoff team this year?
I got to see more. I can't say yes in that tough Western Conference. I got to see more. And obviously it's going to all depend on how Zion develops.
Yeah, I think if they get a vet, they could be there. But I think they're right there on the cusp of it.
Me too. I do. I think they have a chance to be really good, really fast. And I think that the biggest winner in all this, I know he's not the story last night, but to me it's Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is the guy who winds up in the best situation from all of this. He went from being not Zion-esque level star coming out of college, but he was a huge name for any number of different reasons coming out of college. Things could not have gone worse in Los Angeles from the second it started. Now he gets a complete fresh start in a situation that could be really good with a perfect teammate for him to be throwing lobs to. I think Lonzo Ball and Zion Williamson have a chance to be very good together.
With no pressure. He's not going to be considered the savior of the franchise like he was expected to in Los Angeles. And it's also important to point out, as Woj mentioned, they now have this big cap space. They got off $13 million in Solomon Hill. That wasn't on that list of assets.
Correct.
That you could add whoever they use that $13 million on this summer.